Just your typical neglect, not greasing it, using it as a hammer instead of a crusher, using it as a general purpose bucket is what the downside of these buckets are. Essentially, it's a machine hanging on the end of another machine.
Welcome to episode 8 of the Steel and Dirt Podcast, where we discuss everything related to heavy equipment and construction methods. Today we're chatting with Mike DeMond from MB America, also known as MB Crusher. MB America is a family-owned international company known for its line of patented crusher buckets as well as other products, including grapples, screening buckets, and other accessories. And for those of you that work with excavators or skid steer loaders, listen up, because we're going to cover a lot of different types and specs and applications for these attachments. And as you probably already know, this is what affects timing and efficiency on your job site. And time and efficiency means money. Hey, Mike, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. And you've been with MB America for right around 10 years now. You're one of the area managers. Is that correct? And tell me kind of what that job entails.
Yes, I've been here about 10 years now. I think April will be about 11. But it basically entails just helping all the customers. We get inbound leads and try to build our market up for MB in certain territories. So visiting dealers, visiting end users, talking with people, and just seeing how we can help them on their recycling and demolition needs.
How did you get into this? Is this something you've always done, heavy equipment wise, or is this something you just accidentally slipped into?
No, I've always done heavy equipment. Heavy civil is my background. I used to build cell phone towers, communication towers out of high school. Moved to Reno. Well, I was born and raised in Reno, but I moved back from Missouri. And, just like anybody else, I was looking on Craigslist for a job one day and stumbled upon this listing. And I thought I'd give them a call, and here I am.
So, as far as clients that you guys have with MB America, is it what's the average client? What are they like?
I'd say our average client is just, you're not your mom and pop guy, but not your major construction big guys. Just anybody that's wanting to recycle on site. Kind of limit their dump costs, limit their trucking costs, just kind of keep it all more in house. Just anybody. I've got customers they're private individual landowner that just wants a crusher for around the house, all the way up to your big guys, and anywhere in between. Lately, our main clientele is a lot of ready mix companies for the washout that they bring back. So that's a big client of ours. And then just your demolition guys that do sidewalks, driveways, your residential and small commercial applications.
Is it fair to say that the crusher bucket is probably the most popular attachment you guys deal with?
Yeah, for sure. The more we're growing, of course, we want to get all of our attachments out there, but the name kind of says it all. MB Crusher. So, I'd say our crushers are our bread and butter.
Well, let's talk about the lineup of crushers. Tell us about what makes them different from one another, and how does that affect the appropriate application for each one? What can people call you and ask for, and what do they get?
Well, the type of crushers that we make is a jaw crusher, so that makes them available, or that allows them to be adjustable. So depending on if you're working on a skid loader unit or a excavator type unit, the ranges differ from what they can adjust down to. But a lot of our customers like that because they can just adapt to any job. So if a customer needs 1 inch minus or 1.5 inches, it takes about 10 minutes. Very simple to do. They can handle rebar. So because they are open-ended, they just kind of crush the concrete from off the rebar. And then the different types are, we have the skid loader units and then the excavator units. And we just talk to the customers when they call in or when we call them, and we just see what we can do, what best fits their needs. And then we just go from there, just kind of build on that and then see what how much material they got, what size it is, and then just kind of build on what the customer needs and wants, and go from there.
Yep, back to good old customer service, make them happy.
Yeah, I mean that's what it really boils down to. Is just what the customer needs, and what each application's a little specific. Everyone's a little different. No jobs are the same, but tearing out concrete and crushing it up is that's all it is. It's just making small stuff out of big stuff.
Now, is there anything in the manufacturing process on these buckets that you could pinpoint that makes these crusher buckets better than others?
The way that our patent system is on our jaws, our wedges, I believe we own the patent on that. So, and then just the way they're made and built. We've been in the business a long time. I think 23 years now over in Europe. We're 11 or 12 years here in the United States. So we've got them figured out. Not foolproof, but figured out.
When it comes to operation, what about suggestions and tips, bad habits or mistakes that clients or operators have made that you can tell them up front? Hey, man, don't do that.
Yeah. Well, just like any piece of equipment, abuse and neglect, right? That's the downfall of any piece of iron. So with our buckets, we do have our B2B service for our customers. Has a lot of little tutorials, what not to do, what to do, and then of course we have our service department available. But just your typical neglect and abuse, no, not greasing it, using it as a hammer instead of a crusher, using it as a general purpose bucket, stuff like that is what the downside of these buckets are. Essentially, it's a machine hanging on the end of another machine. So you don't want to abuse it.
Now, what about upkeep and maintenance? Are there any tips or tricks to keeping a crusher bucket in good shape?
You definitely want to grease it. Pay attention to the owner's manual on that. Greasing it as the periodic maintenance table says. As far as maintenance, there's a belt in there, so we want to pay attention to that. Keep that up and tight, and then just go through all your main wear parts. We do have what's called a spring assembly, so you want to keep an eye on that. Make sure that your spring assembly is in a good shape, good working order. Your jaws are in good shape. If they need to be rotated, that's another good thing about our buckets is our jaws are symmetrical, so you can rotate them. So it's just like a set of tires. You just want to keep a fresher jaw on the top of the bucket, and that'll keep it good crushing, good uniform size material coming out of there. When the jaws wear out, you just simply give us a call, and we'll get you taken care of, get you a new set out there.
Cool. And you also mentioned the B2B videos that they can go look at that stuff to help with maintenance as well.
Correct. Yeah, there's a B2B. When you buy the bucket, there's a little. Give us a call, and we'll get you set up on it. And there's all kinds of little videos, little tutorials, animated videos on how to change the jaw size, how to grease it properly, just all the maintenance. Basically, it's a animated manual is what it is.
Let's kind of flop over to grapples a little bit. I understand that you guys also have a great lineup of grapples. And when it comes to picking or selecting a grapple, does it just come down to size and what you're trying to move, or what else do people consider when they're choosing a grapple?
Again, when a customer calls, we like to see what application they're doing or will be doing in the future with grapples. They're so versatile, especially with our grapples. We do make different accessories for them. So if you're in the say logging industry, we can you have your standard grapple. Then maybe one day you want to build a rock wall. We do make a kit on there, a protection kit that will protect those rocks. It's kind of like a big rubber bumper system that we can put on the end of the grapples, and so that they don't get scratched up. They're just so versatile and so unique with our buckets or grapples that it's really just application by application, what the customer is doing, what he wants to do, and what his future plans are with that grapple. And then again, of course, everything goes to size. We don't want to put anything too big out there for the excavator. We don't want to make it unsafe for anybody. So we go off, all of our units are rated by weight of what the either skid loader or excavator is going to be having on it. So, and then we just match up with the buckets, make sure it has proper flow and pressure and everything can handle that unit. And then we just kind of build on that from there.
Now, some of the people watching may or may not know the difference between the hydraulic and mechanical grapples. What are advantages and disadvantages with those two?
I think the hydraulic grapples are you can be a lot more precise with those, like rock walls, loading trucks. You can just be a lot more delicate, a lot more precise. It's kind of like the claw game, when you pick up the stuffed animal out of the vending machine. I think the mechanical. I've never ran a mechanical grapple, but I think they're just a little bit more one function. Just kind of pick it up and move it. Um, I have ran our grapples, and they're pretty cool. You can really get precise. You can really pinpoint where you want that material, or you can just get nasty with it. And if you're just moving logs or timber or whatever you want to do, you can just get in there and do it too. It is a demolition and sorting grapple.
What other things do people use these for? Like in a repetitive. I know I've got a farm. There's 1,000 things I could go out here and do with a grapple. But what do you see? The most applications that it's applied to.
Again, it goes with what the customers are doing. A lot of moving timber. A lot of the forestry guys, of course, grapples have been in the forestry industry for forever, so we're nothing new to that. But I think the rock walls, the rock walls are a lot better. We can put a clamshell kit on our bucket to make it like a complete clamshell. So if you're doing any kind of sand or any dredging or mining like that, we can do that. Um, and underground sewer, you can place pipe with it. Your RCP pipe, you can load it off the truck, place it, set it on the ground. Just a lot safer, little bit more precise with the way you do the pipe. Uh, and then just demolition. You can take down structures with them, and then you can sort with them as well. So you can sort that recyclable product out and get the wood or the metal out of that material, and then you can separate it that way too. So, and ours are a 360 rotational grapple. We do make them without the rotation as well, so they are just a fixed grapple.
I think you guys offer a power extender kit that we had noticed. What is that, and how does that work?
Basically, if you're just lifting really, big heavy stuff, it's just basically a power booster for the grapple. So it just strengthens it to be able to help you move those heavier application jobs. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't make it spin faster or anything like that. It just gives it more power, gives it a little bit more stability when you're handling the bigger material.
Hey, we hope you're enjoying our show, and if you are, we would appreciate it if you would help us out. Crush that like button, hit the subscribe, and be sure notifications are on so you'll be notified whenever we release a new podcast, guide, or compilation. We appreciate the support, and now let's get back to the show. All right, sounds awesome. Now we will slide over to screening buckets, and let's talk a little about those. I'm not really familiar with those, so tell us what they do, how they help on production, and even revenue. What do they do?
So we make two different types of screening buckets, which is our trommel style screen, which is people would like to refer to it as just a big washing machine, right? It just kind of tumbles. And then we make our more finer units of the padding buckets or the shaft screeners. So our main focus on screening is just segregating material from usable to non-usable, and then ideally the non-usable or the overburden. Hopefully, if we did our jobs right, the customer will also have a crusher unit, and then he could crush that product up, the non-usable overburden, and use that as well. So to really reduce shipping costs, having material brought in, just all kinds of different stuff. So
Now, does each one of the buckets are they made for different materials and applications, or does one bucket do it all? How does that work?
the screener buckets, the trommels are kind of more heavy duty units, I would say, in my experience. So if you got some bigger size rock that you want to separate from dirt, or if you're doing pipelines, stuff like that, I would say your trommel style screen is a little bit more heavy duty. Our shaft screeners are more for your landscaping, your mulch, your topsoil. It can still recycle the concrete and stuff like that, and screen it, I should say, not recycle, to make a better, screened product.
What are some of the things you probably run into? Somebody calls and says, "I need a screening bucket. I'm going to do this." What are some of the many different things they bring up?
A lot of my customers, I do handle Texas and areas, so a lot of my guys are pipeline guys. Um, so that's a big factor in my area. But I've seen it from, again, you're just your individual property owner that has a big pile of, you know, a hill bank that he wants to screen out and flatten out, all the way up to your big pipeline guys. So again, it all boils down to what the customer needs and what his applications are at the time that he needs a bucket and what they're going to be in the future. Our screen buckets you can change the output settings on them with the trommel style screens. It's just a simple panel change. They're in individual panels. So you figure out what the customer wants to screen down to. Then we'll set him up with that size screen panel. And then, we give him the option too. If you need another product down the road or now, you can make multiple different products with just a simple change of the panels. So it takes about 2 hours. You just unbolt some bolts, put some new panels in, take the old panels out, put new panels in, and then you're ready to make different size material there too. And same goes for our HDS or our shaft screeners. They're versatile as well, where you can pull the shafts out and change our shafts to make different sizes for that too. So if one customer needs, 1 inch minus, we can set them up with a set of shafts that will make that product for him. Now, but none of our screens will make a spec material. So, please keep that in mind so you still need to run it through a big triple deck or another screening process. All we're doing is trying to help them create one product and have overburden for another.
Before we wrap everything up, man, what else can you tell us about MB America and the great things that you guys do, and let everyone know how to get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Well, MB, when I first started working here, we had, I believe, 5 attachments. I don't even know. I think we're at 32 right now. So we're always innovating. We're always taking our customers' feedback and building on it and seeing not only how to help our customers, but how to make a better product for them. Our guys over in Italy, we are an Italian-based manufacturer. Those guys are hands down, the backbone of this company. They do an incredible job with innovating and just changing the design where they see it needs to be changed. And we're just constantly growing. Again, I believe they're at 34 units, 32 units right now. And that's just it. We're just always adapting, always innovating, always growing. And I think that's the key, not only in earth moving and demolition, but in any, you just got to overcome and adapt. And that's what MB's very good at, with all of our products, all of our line of, from the crushers to the drum cutters, the grapples, and the screens. Just look us up on the web. We do have a chat available, and they're pretty good at getting your questions answered right away. And then, of course, they'll send you over to the appropriate person in your territory who can help you out with MB.
Hey, Mike, thanks so much. We really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy, and we appreciate your insight and knowledge into MB and wish you guys all the best. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.